Debbie called me a hopeless loser and worthless without even realizing that my cousin Tina was streaming everything live. I still remember the shock. I was glued to my phone, watching my mom sitting at our dining table, casually holding a glass of wine, completely unaware that her every word was being broadcast online. "Oh, come on," she scoffed, rolling her eyes dramatically. "My daughter thinks flipping houses makes her a winner, but she couldn't hack nursing school, and now she's just drifting through life like a total failure." Tina had texted me about an hour earlier. "You have to see this, I'm so sorry," with a link to her latest live stream, one of her many attempts to build a following online. I had been out of town for a real estate conference in Providence when the family gathered for Sunday dinner, and I was just settling into my hotel room when her message popped up. "My name is Alex Martin. I'm 32, and for the past 5 years, I've been secretly covering all of my mom's medical bills ever since she was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. I've been driving her to doctor appointments, managing her insurance claims, and paying for her medication while juggling 60-hour work weeks to keep my real estate business afloat in Boston. None of the folks at dinner knew I had drained my savings last year when her insurance refused to cover a specialized treatment. It's such a pity," my mom continued on the stream, soaking up the attention from our relatives. "All those big dreams about becoming a nurse, and now she's stuck selling houses to people who really made it in life." I could even hear my Uncle Rick and Aunt Megan snickering along with her. Tina's camera caught every moment. She was recording discreetly from her lab, probably trying to be inconspicuous while documenting another family dinner for her social media followers. My mom had no clue she was being filmed, which made her harsh words hit even harder. "Remember when she quit nursing school?" my mom had said to my aunt. "She came home in tears about how tough the exams were. So pathetic. And now she acts like closing a sale every few months means she's successful." The truth was, I had put my own nursing school plans on hold just to help her out when she got sick. I was earning a decent living in real estate, but every extra dollar I made went straight to her treatment instead of funding my own education. "She just doesn't have what it takes," my mom sighed dramatically, reaching for her wine glass, the very same bottle I'd bought for family dinners. "Some people just aren't built for real achievement." The live stream dragged on for another agonizing minute before Tina finally turned off the camera. I sat frozen in my hotel room, tears streaming down my face as the bitter truth sank in. For years, I convinced myself that my mom's occasional mean comments were just her way of dealing with her own pain or using an old-fashioned style of tough love. But this wasn't a one-off slip-up. It was the real her, and now I had undeniable proof. Soon enough, my phone buzzed again with another text from Tina. "I'm really sorry you had to see that." I didn't know what she was saying until it was too late. "Do you want me to take the video down?" I stared at the message for a long moment before replying. "No, leave it up. I need to show you something tomorrow when I get back." The drive back from Providence the next morning was a blur. I barely remember checking out of the hotel or the long 2-hour ride home. My mind kept replaying my mom's mocking laughter and the way she ridiculed the career I'd built to support her over the past 5 years. Back then, at age 27, I was halfway through nursing school and on the verge of achieving my dream of helping people. Then came the call that turned my life upside down. My mom had collapsed at work and been rushed to the hospital with aggressive rheumatoid arthritis that required constant treatment and care. "It's not fair," she cried from her hospital bed. "How am I supposed to pay for all this when insurance barely covers anything?" I held her hand and promised, "We'll figure this out together, Mom." After my dad passed away during my high school years, it had just been the two of us, and I'd always believed our bond was unbreakable. She had sacrificed so much for me, working extra shifts to ensure I had every opportunity. When she fell ill, I knew it was my turn to step up. Within months, I made the tough decision to put my nursing studies on hold. Real estate offered flexible hours and the potential for a good income. I could drive Mom to appointments, handle her care, and still cover our growing expenses. I told myself it was just temporary, until she got better, until I had enough saved to return to school. But temporary stretched into years. Although Mom's condition improved with treatment, she still needed pricey medications, regular specialist visits, and ongoing physical therapy. I became the sole manager of her health care, spending hours arguing with insurance companies and researching the best treatment options. "You've become so responsible," she would occasionally say, and in rare moments of appreciation, those words had kept me going through countless sleepless nights and stressful weeks. When I pulled into my driveway that day, I sat in silence for a moment. I hadn't told Mom I was coming home. She assumed I was still in Providence, networking with other realtors at the conference, a trip I had cut short after watching that horrible video. Then my phone buzzed again. "I'm at the coffee shop on Maple. Can you meet whenever you're ready?" I took a deep breath, trying to collect my thoughts, and opened my laptop bag. I pulled out a folder labeled Mom Medical that contained every payment I'd made over the past 5 years, every insurance premium, every medication, every specialist visit, all documented with receipts and bank statements. I've been keeping these records for tax reasons, never imagining they'd one day serve as evidence of betrayal. I grabbed the folder, took another steadying breath, and texted Tina back. "I'll be there in 15 minutes. At the busy coffee shop, I immediately spotted Tina with her bright blue hair and oversized headphones. When she saw me, her face crumpled with guilt. "I'm really sorry, Alex," she blurted out as I sat down. I didn't know she'd say those things. "I was just doing my usual live stream, and then Aunt Carol started talking about you, and it got so mean, it wasn't your fault." I cut her off. "Actually, I need to thank you." I laid the folder on the table and opened it, revealing 5 years' worth of payment records, appointment logs, and insurance correspondence that showed the truth. "I've been paying for everything, her medications, treatments, insurance premiums, everything," I said quietly. Tina's eyes widened as she flipped through the documents. "That's thousands of dollars, over $100,000. I confirmed. I put my whole life on hold for her. My nursing school plans, my savings, even relationships, all took a back seat because I thought she needed me." Tina looked up from the paperwork, her shock slowly turning into anger. "And then she calls you a failure? That's messed up." I nodded, feeling a strange calm settle over me. I'd always assumed her harsh comments were a twisted form of motivation, like deep down she appreciated what I was doing. I laughed bitterly. I guess I was wrong. "So what are you going to do?" Tina asked. I clutched the folder and continued. "I'm done. I've already started the paperwork to remove myself from her accounts." "Aren't you going to confront her?" Tina pressed. I shook my head. "What's the point? She'll just deny it or say I'm overreacting." I pulled out my phone and opened my banking app. I've been saving a little each month, planning to go back to nursing school. Now I'm going to use that money for exactly that. I transferred the funds earmarked for Mom's next round of treatments into my own savings account. The action was small, but it felt monumental. "Are you sure?" Tina whispered. "I've never been more certain," I replied, surprised by how steady my voice was. I spent 5 years being her safety net while she dismissed everything I did. That ends today. I then showed Tina an acceptance letter I'd received months earlier from the nursing program, the one I had almost deferred again because of Mom's plan treatments. "I start in the fall," I told her, "and I'm not deferring again." Tina reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "I'll send you the full video, just in case you need it," she promised. As we parted, I felt the weight of years of obligation lifting for the first time. I was finally choosing me. The guilt I had expected was nowhere to be found, replaced by a clear sense of purpose that had been missing for too long. Later that day, I called the insurance company. The representative's tone was confused when I said I wanted to remove myself as the guarantor on my mom's accounts. "May I ask why?" she inquired. "Personal reasons," I replied, my voice steady. "I won't be responsible for any payments after this month." It was day 3 of my new resolve. I spent the weekend in a whirlwind of activity, calling insurance companies, updating payment info, and drafting emails. My dining room table was piled high with paperwork as I dismantled the financial web I had woven to support my mom. The rep continued. "Miss Martin, without your support, your mother's premium will increase significantly and her coverage options might change." I interrupted. "I understand. Could you please send a formal letter explaining these changes to her home address? I want her to be fully informed." I knew exactly what I was doing. The letter would arrive in about a week, giving me time to complete the rest of my plan before the inevitable confrontation. My phone had been buzzing with messages from Mom since yesterday. She had no idea what I was up to and had been expecting me to drive her to a doctor's appointment that morning. "Where are you?" "I've been waiting for an hour," one message read. Then came another. "The doctor's office called. They said my insurance card was declined. Fix it ASAP." Another message scrolled in. "Are you ignoring me? Answer your phone, Alex." Each message only strengthened my resolve. I switched my phone to silent and kept working. By evening, I had finished most of the financial separations and moved on to the next step. I opened my laptop and began drafting one carefully worded email addressed to my entire extended family. "Dear family, after a lot of thought, I will no longer be managing my mother's medical care or financial support. For the past 5 years, I've covered all expenses related to her condition, totaling over $120,000. This includes insurance premiums, medication costs, specialist visits, and countless treatments. I made this decision for personal reasons, but I want you all to know so that if Mom needs help in the future, you're informed." Attached is a detailed breakdown of the support I've provided over the years. I hope you understand this wasn't an easy decision. Best regards, Alex. I attached the spreadsheet I'd created, documenting every payment, every appointment, and every hour I'd spent managing her care. The evidence was undeniable. Later, Tina sent me the full live stream video as promised. I downloaded it and saved multiple copies, one on my computer, one in the cloud, and one on a USB drive. I didn't have any immediate plans for the video, but I sensed it might be useful later. Then the doorbell rang, startling me. I saw my mom standing on my porch, her face twisted with anger. I stepped back, my heart pounding. "Alex, I know you're in there. Open the door right now," she demanded through the door. I stayed silent, watching her shadow move under the door. "You missed 3 of my calls. My medication refill was denied at the pharmacy. What are you doing?" I took a deep breath and spoke clearly through the door. "I'm not doing this anymore, Mom. You'll soon get a letter from the insurance company. Read it carefully." "What are you talking about?" "Open the door," she insisted, but I held firm. The single word "no" felt powerful on my lips. "I've heard what you really think of me. I think it's time we both moved on with our lives." There was a moment of confused silence before she exploded. "Is this about money? After everything I've done for you?" I almost laughed at the irony. "Goodbye, Mom. Please don't come back," I said as her protest grew louder. I walked away from the door and returned to my laptop to finish the email. With every step, I felt lighter, as if I was finally shedding a burden I'd carried for far too long. Within hours of sending the email, my phone blew up with notifications. Aunt Linda was shocked and appalled at my decision. Uncle Dan thought I was selfish and cruel, and my cousin Mark suggested I was overreacting to some petty disagreement with Mom. Only Tina and, surprisingly, Aunt Loretta, who was much older, seemed to understand. Loretta simply texted, "It takes courage to stand up for yourself. Call me if you need anything." I blocked Mom's number first, then muted every relative who wouldn't even ask for my side of the story. The silence that followed was oddly peaceful. A few days later, I sat in the admissions office at Boston City Nursing School, finalizing my re-enrollment for the fall semester. "You've been away from the program for quite some time, Ms. Martin," the advisor said as she reviewed my file, "but your academic record is strong. You'll need to take a placement exam to determine if you need any refresher courses." "Understand," I replied, excitement building inside me. I had already started reviewing my old textbooks. As I walked across campus afterward, I felt a sense of belonging that had been missing for years. This was where I was meant to be, pursuing my own dreams rather than living solely to support someone else's. I knew I'd have to adjust my real estate business to fit my class schedule, so I planned to focus on fewer clients, target higher value properties, and hire a part-time assistant to handle administrative work. The income might drop, but without Mom's expenses, I could manage. When I got home, I found a formal envelope in the mail. Inside was a letter from the insurance company, addressed to Mom, but mistakenly sent to my address. It detailed the changes to her coverage and a significant increase in premiums now that I was no longer a guarantor. I should have felt guilty, but instead, I felt vindicated. My phone rang, and Tina texted, "Have you seen what's happening in the family group chat?" I replied that I'd left all those chats. "Your mom is saying you've had a mental breakdown. She's claiming you're under stress from a failing business, and that's why you're acting out," Tina continued. I could hear the sarcasm in her voice as she spoke. "She's completely twisting everything around." I sighed. Classic deflection. "That's not all," Tina added. She didn't realize I was still in the chat. "And she's even convinced Aunt Linda to let her move in until she sorts out her medical bills." "Of course she has," I said, shaking my head. My mom always had a way of finding someone to bail her out. After hanging up, I sat at my laptop staring at the video file Tina had sent, the live stream that had changed everything. I hadn't watched it since that first gut-wrenching viewing in my hotel room, and my finger hovered over the play button. There was power in that recording, power to expose who my mom really was behind closed doors, to vindicate myself against her lies. But did I really need that vindication? Were the family members willing to believe her one-sided story really worth convincing? I closed the laptop without playing the video. I had the evidence if I ever needed it, but right now my focus was on my nursing application. I had already scheduled my placement exam, and for the first time in years, I was planning for my own future instead of managing someone else's crisis. The insurance letter sat on my counter as a reminder of the changes I had set in motion. After a moment of thought, I addressed a new envelope to Mom's actual address, placed the letter inside along with a brief note. This was sent to my address by mistake. Please read it carefully. I slipped the envelope into the mailbox and felt another burden lift away. Now, the consequences of her actions were hers to face, not mine. 2 weeks passed in relative calm. I immersed myself in preparations for nursing school, studying every spare minute between real estate showings and client meetings. My placement exam was scheduled for Friday, and with each practice test, my confidence grew. Then came the unexpected confrontation. I was just finishing a showing of a 3-bedroom colonial in Brookline when I spotted them in my rearview mirror, Mom and Aunt Linda waiting by Mom's car in the parking lot. My first instinct was to drive away, but they had clearly seen me. Running would only delay the inevitable. I took a deep breath and stepped out of my car. "Sam, we need to talk up close," Mom said in a weak, almost sweet tone. I could see the strain on her face. Her hair was messy, and she leaned heavily on a cane, a prop she usually only used to stress her condition. "I have nothing to say," I replied, gripping my keys tightly. Aunt Linda stepped forward. "Your mother is struggling," she said. "Her medication costs have tripled, and she can't get appointments with her specialists anymore." "Is that what you wanted?" I replied carefully. What I wanted was to be treated with basic respect and appreciation. I wanted recognition for 5 years of sacrifice. I wanted a mom who wouldn't call me a hopeless loser behind my back. Mom's face went pale. "What are you talking about?" "I saw the video, Sam, Tina's live stream from dinner," she said. I met her gaze steadily. "I heard everything you said about me." For a brief moment, a flicker of recognition crossed her face before it was replaced by defensive anger. "You're twisting everything out of context," she insisted. "I was just venting a bit. Everyone does that." Aunt Linda looked confused. "What video, Patricia? What are you talking about?" I almost laughed at the absurdity. My mom hadn't even mentioned the live stream to her closest friends, probably hoping I'd never find out. "Show her the video if you want," I told her. "It doesn't change anything. I've made my decision." My mom switched tactics, her voice breaking. "I'm your mom. After everything I've done for you, how can you just abandon me when I need you most?" Something inside me snapped. 5 years of repressed anger boiled over. "Let me tell you what I've done for you," I said incredulously. "I put my entire life on hold for you. I spent over $100,000 on your care, drove you to every appointment, managed every prescription, and fought with insurance companies on your behalf. And in return, you call me worthless. You mock the career that I built specifically to support you." My hands trembled, but my voice stayed firm. "I've sent proof of every payment, every appointment, every sacrifice to everyone in the family. So don't act like I'm the villain here." Aunt Linda's expression shifted as she looked at Mom, doubt creeping in. "Patricia," she said slowly, "what exactly is in this video?" My mom ignored her, fixating on me. "I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings, but this is an extreme overreaction. I'm facing serious health issues. I'm aware of that, she said. I've provided you with 5 years of constant support, and now it's someone else's turn. I turned to Aunt Linda. She's living with you now, right? Has she asked you for money yet? How many doctor visits have you taken her to? How many prescriptions have you picked up? Aunt Linda's silence spoke volumes. That's what I thought, I said, then added, I wish you both well, but I'm not going to be manipulated anymore. This isn't over. My mom called after me. You can't just walk away from family. I paused, hand still on my car door. You're right about one thing, Mom. Family doesn't walk away from family. But family also shouldn't tear each other down or take advantage of one another. So ask yourself, who really walked away first? I drove off, glancing in my rearview mirror to see my mom berating Aunt Linda, just like old times. Some things never change, I thought, but I had. As I headed home to study for my nursing exam, I realized I wasn't feeling guilty anymore. For the first time in years, I felt free. 3 months later, I stood in my crisp, white nursing uniform, my hand steady as I set up in 4 for a patient. My instructor nodded approvingly. Great work, Martin. Your clinical skills are improving quickly. I smiled as I secured the 4 line. Thanks. It feels like everything's finally falling into place. After finishing my shift at the teaching hospital, I got into my car and checked my phone. A text from Tina flashed on the screen. Your interview is going viral. 20K views already. I couldn't help but laugh in amazement. Just last week, I've been interviewed by a local medical journal about career changers entering nursing later in life. They were especially interested in how my real estate background had prepared me for healthcare. I explained that both fields demand attention to detail, strong communication skills, and the ability to help people navigate major life transitions. I also mentioned that both taught me the importance of boundaries, something every healthcare professional needs. While driving home, an unknown number called through the car's Bluetooth. Hello, Alex? It's Uncle Patrick, came a hesitant voice. Do you have a minute? I tensed, wondering if something was wrong. Everything's fine, I replied. He paused before adding, I saw your interview. It was really inspiring. Thank you. Surprised by the compliment, I thanked him. Your mom saw it too, he added quietly. I braced myself for more criticism, but Uncle Patrick continued, I think seeing you in that nursing uniform finally made things real for her. You're really doing it, becoming the nurse you always wanted to be. I pulled into my driveway and let the car idle while processing his words. I'm proud of you, he said, filling the silence. I'm sorry I didn't see what was happening sooner. His simple acknowledgement brought unexpected tears to my eyes. Thank you, Patrick. That means a lot. After we hung up, I sat for a moment reflecting on how much had changed in less than a year. The trophy from the real estate award now sat on my mantle next to my nursing textbooks, a physical reminder of my past achievements and future goals. My mom and I still weren't speaking, but that didn't matter anymore. I had stopped seeking validation from someone incapable of giving it and had found it in my own accomplishments, in the gratitude of patients, and in the professional recognition that confirmed my choices. Entering my home felt like stepping into my own sanctuary. I smiled at the stack of nursing journals on my coffee table. Tonight, I plan to study for next week's exam, maybe even catch up with Tina later. Tomorrow, I had 2 property showings scheduled between classes. My life was finally purposeful and entirely my own. The phone call from Uncle Patrick had been an unexpected bonus, not necessary for my happiness, but certainly welcome. Whether or not my mom ever came to terms with my decision didn't define me anymore. I had reclaimed my path, my future, and most importantly, my self-worth. And that realization was the greatest victory of all. Debbie's condition worsened one day when she fell at home and ended up in the hospital again. I had just finished a showing of a 3-bedroom house in a quiet neighborhood when I saw Mom and Aunt Linda waiting by her car. My heart sank. I stepped out of my car, and Mom, with a weak smile, said, Sam, we need to talk in person. Her voice was unconvincing, and I noticed her hair was messy and she was leaning on her cane, a prop she used whenever she wanted to stress her frailty. I don't have anything more to say, I told her, clutching my keys. Aunt Linda stepped forward again. Your mom is really struggling. Her medication costs have skyrocketed, and she can't get in to see her doctors. Is this really what you wanted? I replied softly, All I ever wanted was basic respect and some acknowledgement for the sacrifices I made. I wanted a mom who wouldn't belittle my hard work behind my back. Mom's face drained of color. What are you talking about? I saw that video, Sam, Tina's live stream from dinner, she argued. I held her gaze steadily. I heard every word you said. For a moment, I saw a flicker of remorse in her eyes, only to be replaced by anger. You're twisting my words, she snapped. I was just venting. Everyone does it. Aunt Linda looked puzzled. What video, Patricia? What is she referring to? I couldn't help but chuckle at the absurdity. My mom hadn't even told her closest friends about the live stream, probably hoping I'd never find out. Show the video if you want, I said calmly, but it doesn't change anything. My decision is final. My mom's voice cracked as she pleaded. I'm your mother. After everything I've done for you, how can you just walk away when I need you? Something inside me broke. Let me remind you what I've done, I said, my voice trembling but firm. I put my entire life on hold for you. I spent over $100,000 on your care, took you to every appointment, managed every prescription, and fought with the insurance companies on your behalf. And now you call me worthless. You laugh at the career that kept you alive. My hand shook, but I maintained my steady tone. I shared every payment, every appointment, every sacrifice with the whole family. Don't you dare paint me as the villain. Uncle Patrick frowned as he listened. What exactly is in this video? He asked softly. My mom's face went pale. It's all twisted out of context, she mumbled. I reached into my bag and pulled out the trophy, placing it on the bedside table. The crystal caught the light, the engraving clearly readable. Resilience in real estate. Alex Martin. I won an award tonight, I explained to Uncle Patrick. Despite all the challenges, I kept my business running and supported you for 5 long years. Uncle Patrick's expression softened as he looked from the trophy to my mom's defensive stare. I didn't come here to argue, I continued. I came because I wanted to ensure you're okay, and because I'm done sacrificing my life for someone who won't appreciate it. The room fell silent. For once, my mom had no quick comeback or manipulative tactic. She simply stared at the trophy, a tangible reminder of the success she had dismissed so carelessly. I should get going. I have an early class tomorrow, I said quietly. Tina, can I give you a ride home? As we left, I heard Uncle Patrick speaking to Mom in a hushed tone. The conversation I had been avoiding for months was finally unfolding, but this time I wasn't going to be the one force to defend myself. 3 months later, I stood in my crisp white uniform, steady hands administering N4 to a patient. My nursing instructor smiled and said, "Great job, Martin. Your skills are really coming along." I grinned, feeling that everything was finally clicking. After my shift at the hospital, I headed to my car. A text from Tina popped up. "Your interview is trending. 20K views already." I laughed, shaking my head in amazement. Just last week, I'd been interviewed by a local medical magazine about career changers moving into nursing later in life. They were curious about how my experience in real estate had prepared me for healthcare. Both fields require attention to detail, strong communication skills, and the ability to guide people through major transitions. I explained that both careers taught me the importance of setting boundaries, something every healthcare worker needs. While driving home, an unknown call came through on my car's Bluetooth. "Hello, Alex? It's Uncle Patrick," said a hesitant voice. "Do you have a minute?" I tensed, wondering if something was wrong. "Everything's fine," I replied. He paused, then added, "I saw your interview. It was really inspiring." "Thank you." Surprised by the compliment, I said, "Thank you, Uncle Patrick." He continued quietly, "Your mom saw it too. I think seeing you in that uniform made her realize that you're really following your dreams. You're becoming the nurse you always wanted to be." I pulled in my driveway and let the car idle as I mulled over his words. "I'm proud of you," he added, filling the silence. "I'm sorry I didn't see what was happening sooner." His simple acknowledgement brought tears to my eyes. "Thanks, Uncle Patrick. That really means a lot." After we hung up, I sat for a moment reflecting on how much had changed in less than a year. The trophy for my real estate award now sat on my shelf next to my nursing textbooks, a constant reminder of where I came from and where I'm headed. My mom and I still weren't talking, but that no longer mattered. I had stopped waiting for validation from someone who couldn't give it, and instead, I found it in my own accomplishments, in the gratitude of my patients, and in the professional recognition that confirmed my choices. Stepping into my home felt like coming back to my own sanctuary. I looked at the stack of nursing journals on my coffee table and smiled. Tonight, I would study for next week's exam, maybe even call Tina later to catch up. Tomorrow, I had 2 property showings squeezed between classes. My life was finally full, purposeful, and entirely mine. The call from Uncle Patrick had been a welcome note, not necessary for my happiness, but certainly appreciated. It didn't matter if Mom ever understood or accepted my decision anymore. I had reclaimed my own path, my future, and, most importantly, my sense of self-worth. And that realization was the greatest victory of all.